Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the RedSeaPodcast. This is Dennis, as always, and I hope your Saturday has started amazingly. I hope you've all had nice coffee to start the day, as have I, of course. And given how this Saturday is very Olympiacos filled, I thought it would be fitting and appropriate to start it uh, by talking about what's been happening in the basketball department within the week, more or less, and checking out the ups and downs, per se, of this unpredictable, I think is the best way to describe it, double week. Before we get into that, though, as always, if you are new here, you can check out the backlog of a lot of content, whether it's episodes like this, whether it's post game shows, vlogs, interviews, and all such. Everything is in playlists, organized. Maybe even you want to check out some old scout reports. Maybe you want to know more about the plans coming. And if you like what you see, of course, do like and subscribe. And anything else you need social wise, you can find either by scanning this code up here, which will lead you right to the link tree, or by going down the description, which has all the links separated, of course. But yeah, let's get straight into the basketball talk, shall we? I think I want to start with the negatives, with the loss to FS, a loss that created a bit of chaos as usual with uh, this fan base, this club, and this team, but a loss that did also show us a lot of stuff. Let me fix my chair real quick so it doesn't get too annoying. That should be better. As I was saying, a loss that did create a lot of chaos, but that didn't fail in teaching us a lot of stuff. And of course, one of the main things that it did show us is how important Thomas Walkup is going to be this season, and the self-evident thing about how important Van Fournier is also to this team. But aside from that, the first thing I wanted to really get into in regards to this game is something that I did catch up on the socials with. Uh, I'm pretty sure the morning after the FS game, and it was the same thing that I. Most of you are probably very tired of this. But it was the same thing that I keep on talking about non-stop. But even if I know that it won't change, I feel like I don't feel obligated, but I feel the need and the want to keep mentioning it about how sometimes as a fan base in general we're sort of ungrateful. Of course, many of us, and yes, I'm including myself, overreact a lot, and especially towards this department, especially towards the basketball department, we we face a sense of how to call it. We face a sense of it's even more than pessimism. I really don't know how to describe it. Uh, we tend to not even wait till the final whistle sometimes, like I've talked about it, even though it seems absolutely surreal to me I've talked about it many times that even if the team is losing half time, people just decide to go absolutely bananas for no reason at all. uh, and the criticism that some players face is maddening again. I get the frustration. I really do. I was frustrated with the loss as well, especially given that even if you take the absences into account, we almost won the game. But given that we came from a derby with half a team, we went on to almost win the game and lost it due to purely personal mistakes and not lack of quality but lack of quantity. Right? It's nothing to just go insane about. Another thing, of course, that I mentioned, and I'll go slowly deep into the stats of the game. Why is it always Pesenko when we lose? Like, if anyone can answer that question in the comments, then do feel free because I don't get why it always has to be Pesenko. Yeah, okay, Sasha was on an off night. On an off night for Pesenko because he still went 12-7-1, right? But in a game where minimal quality was shown and massive exhaustion took over. And again, I know that that isn't uh, a thing to focus on given the loss and given the loss at home, right? And I'm not focusing on that. But I'm saying that when you had so many factors to the loss, why is it always? And there is much bigger problems in this team than Sasa. And as a team, it's not healthy to always rely on one player. And I guess that could have been Evan if he was healthy, and that superstar target is heavy sometimes. But if you always rely on one player for the entirety of the game, and I'm not talking about the clutch threes. That's a completely different story. Like even with what uh, Tyson said, that every single time it will probably be Vesenkov because there is probably no one better to shoot the contestant three in the entire league than Vesenkov. That's not my point. My point is that if every single 40 minutes you rely on one player in your mind and then blame one player because you lost, that's not a healthy mindset. That's an insane mindset for a sport like basketball, right? And again, despite the absences, there were a lot of mistakes in general. Right? Let's not kid ourselves. Uh, the only ones that really showed up in this game were Tyson Ward and Alec Peters. But there were mistakes from Barjokas. Uh, there were mistakes from the guards mainly. Nico didn't have the best of nights. The bench didn't really help in general. There were a lot of factors into losing that game. It can't always be the same, right? Just like we can't always run stuff back to Evans. Okay, we took a risk. It doesn't seem to be working. It's not why every loss happens. It's not why every mishap happens. It's not why stuff has been done in a way that probably won't pay off, right? We can't always, always in every situation revert back to why Keenan Evans isn't healthy. And I feel bad for that. I feel bad for Evans because he is such a promising player. And if this injury does keep him out for a continuous, extended, undetermined amount of time, it, it's gonna kill half of that potential for sure, right? And at minimum. And that for a player is the worst case scenario, especially for a player like him. But we can't go back to just that. There's stuff that needs to happen. There's stuff that needs to happen from the players themselves that are here already in improving their game. There is stuff that needs to happen from the team if deemed necessary to get a player. You all know my opinion. I do think, of course, that we need to pick up a guard if and when possible, right? And a guard that's worthy, not just a body to go. And it's not just that one factor that's ruining anything. We need to move on from that. We can't just revert back to, oh, when he's coming back, or is he coming back, or will he play this, that, this, that. We need to move on from that and let the team deal with it as they see fit. Because as much as stuff doesn't go out to the public, right? The team knows better than anyone how a player's condition is. The team knows better than anyone when a player is coming back, how a player will come back, and if the wait is worth it. So we need to leave that to the team and focus on game by game as fans and in supporting this club. Because I am more or less gonna repeat what I said word for word to finish off now. But if we keep acting so unhinged, I guess, if we keep acting so pessimistic, if we keep prioritizing just completely demolishing everything over properly criticizing the problems that the club is facing, we don't deserve the possible success that comes, right? I know that some people really don't want to see the team win, and that's clear. I know that some people just love to spread chaos, right? Because that's half their life, okay? But the proper fan base of this club, and it is not a minority compared to those people, it is a majority, need to be vocal in that support and the proper criticism of this club and not just go after the club, after the coach, after the players. That's not how stuff is meant to be done. And help, it's we are 5 games in. We're 5 games into the season. We're not in March. Okay, we lost a home game with half a team. The world isn't over. It's not. It's really not. And I am gonna wait before I say anything, but I think that this squad, fully healthy, will surprise a lot of people. I think that this squad, when it's at proper full power, it's going to surprise a lot of people. Now, stat wise, of course, not amazing, especially from the three, we went 9 out of 26, which was a problem for the majority of the game, especially, let me actually double check that before say something, especially in that third and fourth, we just failed to keep up. People just let out. People just let up. And power just sank, right? And again, does that have to do with exhaustion? Maybe. Not an excuse though. The absences are certainly what is and continues to be at fault, even with the win against Maccabi, which we'll get into in a bit. Quality is missing from the team, right? And some players that do get minutes, and we'll get on to set names, still have a lot to improve upon to be able to keep up not only with the team's needs, but the level of the game right now. Because the level of the game right now, especially in certain positions, is very, very high. And the bench and the second units need help with that. And in general, it was a very mixed game that I'm not mad at how the team performed. I'm really not, aside from some exceptions, right? I'm not mad about how the team performed otherwise. For example, Alec had a great game. Tyson Ward is consistently very good. Like even against Maccabi, where he didn't have the best of first halves, he picked it up third and fourth quarter, and especially at the end with that insane 14-1 streak, just went absolutely insane and was as always very vital in picking up the win. Sasha was more on an off night, but I talked about that already. Tyler, he didn't reach the standards he set this season, but still went 11-4-1, which is not bad in the slightest. Nilikina still has stuff to improve upon, but I'm not gonna be mad because it's not Nilikina's fault that he's been forced. He's had to pick up 20 to 30 minutes being here 2 weeks. uh, the main thing that he has to improve for me is not even long range. It's the consistency of fouls that sets him out of the game for a while. He needs to be more tactical on the defensive end, if that makes sense. Otherwise, I'm really not mad about his game. Of course, we need the guards to score long range shots, but I feel like he will flow into that as time goes on. But the defensive end he needs to work on. He needs to really focus on that. But yeah, going 9-1-2 with 2 steals is really not bad. Another thing we paid off sadly in losing that game. Let me actually find the number. It's the turnovers. One of the clumsiest games that we've seen, sadly. One of the clumsiest games with 14 to 9 on FS. I'd say that's one of the main reasons, but as I said, there is a lot of factors in losing the FS game that really shouldn't cause that much panic, but they did end up doing it, as I said, should at least be expected. But yeah, I'm really not mad about Nilikina's game. Milutinov didn't have the best of games against FS, but again, he had to basically carry the position. So after an insane performance against Panathinaikos, I really can't sit and blame Milutinov for the loss, right? A man that is showing signs of improving his game, but still needs to do more. It's on the whole. Hall did play a big part in the game. He did pick up a lot of minutes, especially near the end. But still, just he needs to just find that extra click up to his game to be able to keep up as the second unit to a very impressive and generally on fire Nikola Milutinov, which of course we'll get into his Maccabi performance in a few, but he picked up 6 with 5 rebounds and 2 blocks. Not bad. He did contribute to a streak at the end Of course, I think it was 8-0 or something, which helped us catch back up and did give us some hope in turning the game around. But for me, he still needs to find that click of confidence more. He still needs to find that higher level, especially defensively. And adding that to his athleticism, if he keeps working hard, I feel like he'll be a deserved second unit and prove himself. I think prove himself. I wouldn't say shut up the doubters yet, but for a starter, prove himself the worthy that we know of him, right? And that we've seen of him in the past in the Euroleague. Of course, no one expects him to be Milutinov, but he can, in my opinion, he still can prove to be a worthy second unit for us, especially with the absence of Big Moose who has been missing a lot at the start of this season in a lot of factors. Pap, of course, not the best of performances, but still relatively okay, especially on the defensive end and on the hustle end, as we know, Topaniola. And the Tokobo really didn't get a chance, and very sadly, the weakling of this team with 12 minutes and just one assist, sevenly, I don't know anymore. He is a detriment to this team, sadly. And I'm not saying that it can't work out because he's shown glimpses of quality, but the inconsistency in his game ends up hurting the momentum of the team. And I know that as soon as Thomas comes back, Milikina will fall into the second unit, which will be a luxury of the bench, in my opinion. And Lee will fall back into third. But for now and for whenever needed, he either needs to give 1,000% of hard work to improve his faults. The team needs to look for a replacement, right? And it's getting near the end of the cycle of not only quality but patience as well after a certain point because Jesus Christ sometimes. But yeah, going off the negatives and into the positives, what a goddamn game on Thursday. Maccabi Tel Aviv 94, Olympiacos 95. An insane comeback, an insane 14 to 1 streak at the end, which led to us winning the fourth 24 to 30, going from a very bad first half, dare I say a horrible second quarter, to picking it up immediately as soon as we went back on the court, but the third quarter being more mixed, and then killing the game in the fourth, especially in the last few minutes, with Katas crying about the referees, just like he always does. But what do you expect when your team just completely suicides the game that they should have locked down? And again, this game is one of the main examples of what I keep saying that even when the game doesn't end, people just go insane. God knows what we read on socials, right? And I'm really not going to get into it because it's not worth focusing on days after, even though it will come back, but it's more or less worth attention in the moment and nowhere more. But the game did seem lost, right? Like up until the 33rd, 32nd minute, we were losing the game. Like there was no doubt in anyone's mind that we were losing that game. But then Olympiacos showed them. Olympiacos, as we know and love, with the leaders of that insane, maddening comeback being Nico Milutinov, who had an insane career at night, and we'll get into that. Sasha Vezenkov, Tyler Dorsey, and Tyson Ward. More people deserve props, but we'll get into that. But those four orchestrated a comeback that left us all with half a heart attack, but some of the biggest smiles on our face, securing not just a vital win, not just a needed win, but keeping up a positive record early on, which, as much as the record really means jack shit, right now it is a massive momentum boost, if anything, going forward, right? As we see it, of course, at the eighth position right now, but tied on record with third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So third to 12th have the same record. The Euroleague is maddening this season, with of course Pana and Hapoel standing on the first and second with 4-1. I came into the Maccabi game not necessarily not I wasn't I wasn't egotistical. I think that's the word that I am looking for. I wasn't egotistical, but I did think that we would lock down the game at some point, right? I thought it would not be as easy as the Dubai game, but I thought that up until a point at least, we'd get it done with a steady dip. I thought we'd be leading the game like Maccabi did. I think that's the best example to put the mindset that I was in before the game. But that first half, especially that second quarter, was absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. Like there is no other way to describe that. It was dreadful. But coming out of the half and starting off with the momentum that we did, you could see that something clicked halftime. Then the lead kept being lost. We kept climbing back up. The lead kept being lost. And then that timeout happened, where Barzokas yelled his lungs out and then just didn't get up from the bench again and uh, let the game be run. I didn't expect that, to be honest. But the fact that this is not something around the place yet, and we went on to show the heart and the fire and the passion that we know Olympiacos have. Should have been seen as the bare minimum. I don't disagree with that. But the fact that we did do it, while it is a bit of a bitter sweet victory due to the performance alone, the first half, shows a lot about this team. It shows that even to the final second, where we forced Loni to miss that winner, we shouldn't give up on this team. And I've been preaching that ever since I started a year and a half ago. and I will keep preaching that non-stop. We shouldn't give up on this team. Never, even in the worst of moments, we shouldn't give up on this team because you never know what they can do. You never know what these boys can do. Stats in general were not that horrible, except from the long range shots. Again, turnovers were mixed this time, but the fact that we did have 16 with 10 in the first half, I'm pretty sure, that shows how bad the first half was. But let's get into performances real quick. Starting off with the man that surpassed 2,000 points, that's Niko Milutinov. Niko Milutinov played 21 minutes, scored 23 with 89% of, on the field goals and 88 on the free throws. The very two shots away from a perfect game, 5 rebounds, mostly a force offensively, and a plus minus of 30 for Niko Milutinov. And then the man that was on fire at the end beside him, playing 30 minutes, picking up 23 with 100% on the free throws and 67 on the field goals, 10 rebounds, the force defensively that covered off Niko Milutinov, 2 assists, and the plus minus of 31, just one foul. Sasha Vazenkov, Tyler Dorsey, who played 35 minutes, 18 points, 100% on the free throws, 2 for 2, and 44 on the field goals, 5 rebounds, again, force defensively, was 4 and 1, 5 assists and a steal with a plus minus of 19. And the man that showed the fuck up at the end, that's Dyson Ward, playing 23 minutes, not doing much the first half, but putting up 6, having 2 rebounds and 8 assists, and a plus minus of 9, of course. That fourth quarter performance, especially from Dyson Ward, was nothing less than absolutely incredible. And speaking of the man that is showing glimpses and signs of improvement with the time he gets, I want to give my props to Donta Hall as well. Donta Hall played 19 minutes, picking up 8 points, picking up 6 rebounds, split 4 and 2, picking up an assist and having 2 blocks as well, showing great chemistry, especially with Tyler Dorsey, with one of the main highlights of the game being a Dorsey pass to a Donta Hall dunk, which is, of course, posted both on Instagram and TikTok if you want to go check those out. Of course, they are in the description, as I said before. And slowly but surely, we know Donta's strengths and weaknesses, right? But slowly but surely, if he gets acclimatized and can put up 12, 5, and something per game consistently and improve on that, then I don't think anyone's going to be mad with his performances. He's needed more time than expected, that's for sure. But if he keeps getting trust from Coach B and keeps getting confidence and improving on his game, as I said earlier, I feel like he'll surprise a lot of people, including me, and be a very, very much worthy backup of the insane Nico Meludinov. Nilikina having an okay game, honestly, not anything incredible again, but he's slowly rolling into it, being more and more consistent, picking up 7, 3, and 0 rebounds. Of course, picking up a steal and a block added on that. Again, fouls kept him out of the game a bit more than needed, which is my main complaint from him. But in general, not really taking any unnecessary thoughts, being very thoughtful, being the playmaker that we need him to be, and driving in. God driving in. Having a guard that can grab the ball and either pass it or fly in is a massive plus to this team. And I really truly do believe that the League will be a better move than a lot of people expect. And in general, it's just nice to see that the team did show that fire and that passion. And we have a lot more of that to see, right? Of course, we play Panionios tomorrow, 1, where Evan Fournier will return. And we need to hope that everyone returns the top of their game. Of course, let off some steam against Panionios. No disrespect meant, but yeah. And then focus on Bayern, which Bayern away on the 24th is a must-win game, again, in my opinion. And it's a game that we can win, especially with Fournier back. I am not that aware yet on when Walkup is expected back, but I wouldn't expect him back probably until Monaco or Hapoel. But yeah, I was going to get into that. That after Bayern, we have, of course, Naumikono away, the newly promoted side, and then we have another double week of absolute hell with Monaco on the 29th and Hapoel on the 31st of the month. It's not gonna get any easier, but we won't get any softer. We'll keep improving just as the league keeps getting harder. Let's keep going and let's start the time. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, night, afternoon, or whenever you watch this. I hope you like what you see, and I hope you know that better things are coming. Check out everything in the description, and I'll see you all on the socials. Hopefully, covering every game of the day and not missing anything. I hope you all like the extra coverage. I hope you all like that I am trying my best to give the RedSeaTechnic extra exposure as well, at least as much as possible. And honestly, I want to finish off with props to everyone from the RedSeaTechnic for making us unstoppably proud, right? Enjoy today, enjoy your days in general, find happiness in the little things, and no matter what, know that even if it's very hard sometimes, you can trust in yourselves to get out of any darkness you find yourself. Thank you all very much for the support as always. Thank you all for making this through, because I'm never gonna stop being grateful for the ever growing support on all the platforms. And we'll see you all tomorrow with football coverage and hopefully positive football coverage. And of course, a recap of the rest as always, like the balls and the early deserve. Thank you.